right, welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass Podcast, Kevin and Chuck. Today, well, the end of the world as you know it, part 2. Now we're going to talk about domestic threats, things
Right.
that are basically how we're going to sabotage ourselves that you need to be prepared for. And like I said in the other one is, you know, it may not completely be the end of the world where we're, zombies and all out, killing each other. But these
Might
are
be,
things
but
that are dramatically going to change your life and things that you can prepare for and things that you can step up your game where, you're going to be ahead and able to help out people. And that's really where you need to be.
mhm.
Now, I got to feel like most of our problems come from our government. That's
Yeah.
we the government is like a whole episode.
Uh,
People just there's so much corruption. The whole wokeness. I like to watch there's that Russell Brand guy. He's pretty awesome and straightforward, kind of calls it like it is. And it, I don't know. He's kind of like a Joe Rogan, I feel like, where he doesn't have opinions based on society. He has like his own thoughts.
right.
And I feel like I'm that way, but I'm just not as entertaining as either of those guys.
Right. Well, you need to
I have to
have.
grow a little more beard
Yeah, you have
before
to
I
wear your
step up
shirt
to
less
that level.
often. We're gonna have to start doing these the show without shirts, so we can be a little bit more like Russell Brand and
I
see
need a scarf.
a
I think
scarf, right?
if I had a pink scarf,
Yeah.
I saw an interview with him and he's rocking like, a lime green or fluorescent beanie or something. And the old guy's interview was like so hung up on it. Like, well, I don't know how I can take you seriously when
With
you're
the
wearing
hat
that. Yeah.
because of the
And
hat.
and Russell Brand is like, well, I do it to get attention because it's over the top. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how you an ascot.
Yep.
But that's the thing. It's like, that's what you have to do to be relevant in media anymore is really
Mm-hmm.
kind of be a little over the top. And I don't think that's
I'm not
wrong.
gonna. I'm not gonna
No.
do it. I'm not wearing the pink ascot. Sorry, dude.
And that's why you only get 3 or 4,000 downloads an episode.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think it's like 5,000 an episode if you wait like a month and a half.
Uh-huh.
But we're not quite, we're not Russell Brand levels, what I'm telling you.
Yeah. Well, the fans have spoken. They said more nipples. More nipples on the show. Yeah.
That seems right, Kevin. All right. So sorry. I know we got off task there for a minute. Just for a minute. So that's the thing is our government, somebody had mentioned the corruption, right? So
Right.
we got so much corruption going on. Like this nonsense with all these papers with Hunter Biden's, stuff, the stolen
Mhm.
laptops. We got all this going on.
Right.
If you're left leaning and you're like, well, Biden's perfect and it's all Trump. Well, you believe there's all kinds of corruption going on with Trump, or we wouldn't be
Mhm.
indicting him, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's.
I mean, the fact of the matter is that they're both. You don't
Right.
get to be the president without being a complete fucking asshole. You know.
Yeah,
You don't get to that level.
it was bad. You know what? I knew that the country had gone over the edge when I started listening to Robert Kennedy. And
Oh
I'm like,
Jesus! Right? How is
but I'm
he the
like-
sanest person?
I'm like, he sounds pretty reasonable.
Yeah. And he's out of his fucking mind. You know.
Exactly. I'm like, something's wrong here. I'm like,
Right.
because he sounds like the sane one in the room.
Uh-huh.
So have you heard this nonsense we're doing to sabotage our country with the mortgages?
No.
All right, with
Tell
the
me all about
punishing
it.
you if you have good credit.
Yeah. Oh yes, I did hear something about
all right.
this. Yeah.
So as of this already happened. It's like I hate to say a law because it's kind of one of those things that nobody voted on and nothing. Just Biden said this is what we're doing, and then it happened,
Mhm.
which is very weird to me.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say law, But basically, the breakdown is if you have a good credit score, screw you, you have to pay a penalty because you're discriminating against minorities and
Yeah.
people
Now this is
with bad credit. Because
just a heads up. This
obviously,
is brand new, so
yeah,
so there's a lot of speculation on what this is, but it ain't good for you.
no,
You
it
know.
went into effect though May 1st. It happened.
Yeah. So
Right.
don't pay your bills,
So
and that might
here's
give you better interest rates.
I'm going to put up a picture here. Check this out. This is
All
what
right.
Fox put up. All right. So if you get a mortgage for 350,000 and you put 20% down
Uh-huh.
and you have a credit score between 740 and 760, before May 1st, your payment would have been $1,750. After May 1st, your payment is 3,062
Mhm.
because you have a good credit score.
Right. Right. Yeah. No,
Does that not sound insane to every
yeah, no,
person?
imagine paying $3,000 a month for probably some shit house that you're gonna end up with. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's no kids growing up today are gonna be able to afford a house. I mean, they are inheriting what is it now? $17 trillion worth of debt.
I think 31.
$31 trillion. Yeah, that's right.
That's whatever.
Right. They didn't get any of those benefits. None of that money. They didn't get to spend any of that money. We already spent that all on
Kevin,
us.
it's the roads.
Mhm.
You want roads and
yeah, I'm
fire departments.
I'm not buying any of that
Roads
bullshit.
and fire
It's those greedy
departments.
boomers. It's those greedy boomers that took all that money, fucked their grandkids.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
Yep.
they did. That's the whole thing. Like everybody, I've been hearing that, and I'm like, wait, doesn't the gas tax pay for the roads? And what are the tolls for then when I drive on the roads in New York? I mean, I'm like, wait a minute, the roads? What are you talking about? The roads?
Yeah.
None of that 31 trillion is the roads. I
Yeah.
guess you could make some kind of argument in 2008 when they came up with that stimulus bullshit that,
Right,
we were going to fix the roads, right? Didn't Obama say we're all going to fix the
infrastructure?
roads?
Yeah, right. Roads. It's always roads.
Buildings aren't going to be falling because you use roads.
Yeah,
And
they're
what is it-
spending all that money on a bunch of bullshit that nobody needs except for billionaires that already have that money. You know what I mean? They're writing the tax code for you.
Well, they might have sorry, the billionaires have the company that builds roads. And so they pay those guys who shut shit down, put up the signs, and then they'll go back to work for the next 3 months. Those ones.
Yeah, they did that on my road.
Yeah, yeah. And you're like, well, it's closed, but there's nobody there doing anything.
Right. Why? Why is it closed?
The parts are probably on back order because of COVID.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, I had all these great signs up that they were beautifying my road according to Cuomo's Beautify New York plan, and they just fucked everything up and then left. So that's what you get. That's what you get dealing with Cuomo. So, you know, if he's not grabbing your tits, he's fucking your roads up. But
all right. So the government's making ridiculous decisions. They're trying to do some kind of nonsense about banning AR-15s and all that shenanigans.
Yep.
We're all over that. I don't even know what they're talking about. And the thing is, at first I'm like, oh, the Supreme Court's got my back. But now I'm like, oh, if somebody shows up with a briefcase full of cash, maybe the Supreme Court won't have my back.
For whoever brings the biggest suitcase, it seems like that's who gets the vote or gets the decision for him. You know?
Did you see what Clarence Thomas's wife now is getting payments? And there were some reporter exposed it. I was watching it last night, and they were like, "Oh, this is another payment for $25,000." And they're like, "You have to make sure." They have the phone call. And the guy's like, you have to make sure that nobody knows that it's going to her. And you're like, oh, God, that just...
You don't say that on a recorded line, you know?
Or it might have been in an email, but it was just, I'm reading it and I'm like, oh, well, because I guess somebody was reading it to me, maybe, in a video or whatever. It's just like, what the fuck, right? Like, can we not...
You know, nobody ever gives me $25,000 for no reason.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure for her it's different, though. That probably happens all the time with no stipulations.
Right. And then you guys remember all this Bud Light woke nonsense. And I mean, dude, we've been so woke for so long, whatever this means. And in my mind, being woke includes this nonsense of just it just upsets me. But it includes the nonsense of like both the whole gender stuff, but like all the affirmative action of nonsense. Like, oh, these people can't take care of themselves. We have to help them. To me,
Right.
that's like a woke idea, right?
Uh-huh.
But this is where I think that it's gone too far, Kevin. Now, you might want to turn your eyes away from the screen, but I'm
All
going to
right.
drop
Don't
one
look.
on you.
All right. Let's
There you
see what
go.
we got.
This is the U.S. Navy looks to boost recruitment with a new it's an online drag queen spokesperson for the U.S. Navy.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, well, is that a U.S. military member who's going to be in charge of this? Yes. So they actually, Fox News had the banner dragging in recruits.
Mm-hmm.
Because dragging, you see what they did there?
Yeah,
And
yeah, I get
it
it.
just looks
That's
fun and
hilarious.
colorful.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what you're looking at.
Oh,
Yeah, you guys
I
may
don't even
want to
know what to
check out
say anymore. Is he or she?
he.
I can't even
Well,
keep track of what the proper way to
I
speak
don't
about
even
this
know what the
anymore is.
preferred pronouns are,
Mm-hmm.
but this Harpy Daniels is an active duty service member, and yeah,
Now,
basically very dragged up.
yeah,
They
let
them
me
is
ask you this:
appropriate, I guess.
if you dress as a woman, does that mean that you're in the women's barracks or the men's barracks? How does that work out?
I it's just concerning. I believe they're in the men's barracks, but damn.
All right, interesting.
It's
Interesting.
yeah. So my point is this is just we're all trying to get into modern culture and oh, we can't connect with young people unless we're full on crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Um I was just watching the other day the I was watching shit, man, dude, my mind it's all over the place. I haven't had enough coffee yet, and I'm on like my third cup.
Yeah.
I need about 6 to get going in the morning. So I was watching shoot, it eludes me.
All right. Well, we're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about drag queens in the Navy. That's to me that's like I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit of eyeliner and lipstick. Is that okay to wear when you're at work? Can you wear a wig
No,
when you're at work, or is this like after
Kevin,
hours stuff? I don't understand it.
Kevin, a
It's-
little flair is what you need. And
all right,
that's really what it comes down
just
to.
some highlights and yeah.
It
All right, all
is
right.
more flair in your life.
Little bit of mascara and rouge take care of you.
Right. But I just don't understand why it has to be a part of everything that we have to drag it in. And I believe in my mind that it's such a small percentage of, the population, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'm way off. Maybe
Maybe you're way off,
everything
Chuck.
is,
Uh-huh.
I
Maybe it's
don't know.
unusual because you understand your gender and you're the weird one. I don't know.
I'm the weird one.
I don't know. I do know that every time I watch Fox News, all they talk about is trannies, and it's a little bit upsetting. It's only like 10, you can go about 10 minutes before they start talking about it again. And I don't understand it, but they have an obsession with them.
That's what concerns me is like, I feel like I'm out in the world. I don't see any of this, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
maybe there's all these trans whatever people and I just don't recognize them because I'm like, oh, I don't even know. That just looks like a girl to me, and I'm that out of touch. Could be that I don't even talk to people because I don't like people. But who knows?
I mean, that's definitely a possibility.
That's probably more likely. I mean, that's fair.
Look at the hands. That's the thing that they can't really cover up.
Is that what it is?
Big hands,
So
yeah.
it's only when I watch the news that I see this kind of thing. It's not like in real life, but I feel like the internet is just like throws it in your face.
Right.
So I'm not really sure. Yeah, the Navy and Bud Light should get together. That sounds right.
Mm-hmm.
But the bottom line is, V8 had sent an email and was like, why all the woke stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's pretty dark and nefarious, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my own personal take, and Kevin's not going to agree with me, and Kevin's going to be like, you're wrong and whatever. But so I honestly think if you think of the whole biblical world and all that and God and religion and Christianity and whatever, people people who are in the highest reaches of government believe the Bible. And I
Mhm.
don't mean that they're Christians. I mean they believe that it's true and they actually see themselves in this whole more nefarious war of good
Mhm.
and evil.
Right.
And I feel like they feel that there's a way to kind of degrade society and kind of be against God with
Right.
that. And I know that people are like, "Oh, you're crazy. The Bible, nothing. That's out of touch and whatever." But I think the people who are working against God, they believe it. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of the Bilderberg stuff and all that, that whole debauchery thing, they're down for it. Plus, all right, so now we'll take religion out of it. So say
Mhm.
we can get past that
Right.
and we get religion out of it. And then maybe if you're like, hey, we like going to Pedo Island, maybe
Mhm.
if we make the rest of society accept fucked up, depraved shit, then they'll accept us in our Pedo Island.
Right. Right.
I mean, that
If
only makes
everybody's into
sense
orgies and all that sort of stuff, I don't know. It makes sense. I think you're way off. But
with the Pedo
I can't
Island one
argue
or
with.
with the
No, I
religion
can't
one.
argue with your logic though. I mean, it definitely seems like there are a lot more pedophiles out there than I initially had thought growing up. You know what I mean? Nobody ever tried to fuck me when I was a kid, but I don't know. Maybe I'm the weird one. You know?
You're yeah, but maybe if you could choose any kid out there, would you be like, hey,
I was an ugly kid. I wasn't that cute.
Kevin,
I'll
Kevin
admit.
is not the one
I wasn't the attractive one.
that, they want the little chubby boy like me that, you can easily manipulate,
Right. Come here. I've got
Um,
some candy in my van.
all right. So, anyway, why does that affect society and as a prepper? Well, here's what I'm thinking. I just think that our culture is getting so selfish, so caught up in nonsense of self-pleasing, you're important and you matter kind of thing. And you do matter. And as an individual, it is important, you and your rights and everything. But we're teaching people that society defines what you are and how you're accepted and what you're entitled to. You know what? Be a badass and make your own world and, freaking take care of yourself and find people that think like you and that
Hmm.
want to, work with you. And I'm not saying we have to hate other people. I'm not saying we have to make clubs and keep people out and this and that. I'm just saying work with people you want to work with and do what is right for you. Don't let the world, change who you are. So
Hmm.
that's one thing. Now, then I have to talk about there is some kind of crazy people are entitled to shit, people are fucked up and they think they just deserve everything. So they're going and stealing stuff like freaking crazy.
Mm.
Crime is like way up. Police are doing jack to deal with it.
Right.
And district attorneys aren't doing shit to handle it.
Not
And I
prosecuting
think
people.
they're not prosecuting people. I think that it's kind of like people are seeing what's going on in Washington and they're like, hey, they just do whatever the fuck they want and they
Right.
steal from people and that's
Hmm.
okay. And society loves them. So I should be like that too because they told me I deserve it and I'm entitled. So what's happening though with all this shoplifting is Walmart's closing stores all over the place. Whole Foods is closing stores all over the place. Trader Joe's, Target, Target in San Francisco. I got a little video and I'll talk about it in a second. Just watch this for a second and see what I'm talking about here. So basically, what I'm showing you guys is they're putting everything like think of when you go to Walmart or Target, they have the shampoo and
Right.
medication
Hmm.
and tampons and deodorant and toothpaste, all that crap. All those aisles in the store are just in cases, and you have to
Right.
go talk to
You have
people.
to ask somebody to open it
You
up
have to
for
ask
you so
somebody.
you can get
Now,
your
the
tampons.
video, I've seen it, the whole thing. I didn't want to waste your time. I know it's a podcast. So, but the thing is, the video implies like it's the whole store. For the articles I read say it's real, but it's like a third of the store.
Yeah. Yep.
So, all right, it's not all crazy, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, if you're making the same amount of money you were making 3 years ago, you can't afford to live anymore. You know what I mean?
right.
That money is not the same money. And I think a lot of people, you know, if you I remember reading about this, the less money you make, the more the more the less you view stealing as wrong, right? So if
Okay.
everybody's poor, if you make everybody poor, nobody's going to have a problem with stealing, you know? And
And
it's
the
you
corruption
know,
is out of control.
hmm
Um the Yeah, I don't even know. So that's the big thing is one, there's thievery going on all over the place. You
hmm
guys really need to step up your home security. And I don't just mean like, oh, you need to have a gun. I mean, you need to lock your doors. You need to
hmm
look at what you're leaving out in the yard. You need
yeah,
to think about what you're posting on Facebook, what
yep,
you're sharing on Instagram and TikTok and all this stuff. Like, hey, look at my nice new four-wheeler. Look how
right,
cool it is.
uh-huh,
And people are like, oh, I can look at the photo geotag and see that it's right over here. And I'm going to drive over and get
yeah,
me a
wait,
new four-wheeler,
yeah,
right?
wait till they go to work and head over, clean
Oh,
them
you
out,
put your whole schedule and your life online.
right,
Okay, so you're going out of town this weekend. Oh, your trip to New Orleans.
hmm
Great. I'll
great,
be stopping by your house to check on things for you. Don't worry
yeah,
about it.
yeah,
Um,
exactly,
just that's something you guys need to be aware of in what you're doing. So inflation is going out of control. Now, obviously, we've been printing money and the government spending like a drunken sailor, right?
hmm
I think drunken sailors spend money. I don't know. I know I always so I never had any money, so I don't know
right, because you
about
spent it
spending
all,
because I spent it all. Exactly. Now you're getting it. I know I was drunk at a sailor and I didn't have
hmm
money, so I must have spent it. I mean, that's all I
right,
don't even remember. But
yeah.
yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's a valid point though. Just because you're poor doesn't mean you're a thief. Obviously, millionaires steal money too. You know,
Oh,
all those millionaires in Congress. What do they get paid? Like $120,000 a year, and they're all millionaires for some reason. You know,
magic.
magic. It just magically happens. Yeah.
Well, if you're smarter, you just get money. That's how it works.
Oh, is that how it
And
works?
they're just
Just
all
insider
smarter than
trading
you.
and
Yeah.
all that sort
I
of
mean, you've
stuff,
heard
right?
Biden talk, right? You know he's smarter than
He's
you.
obviously a genius.
You've heard
Yep.
Trump talk. He's
Stable
obviously
genius.
smarter than you.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't think I've heard either one of them uh, say a complete sentence. You know what I mean? Just random words thrown out, things all mixed up in the middle of it. You know, the front of the word in the beginning, end of the word in the beginning, mixed all that shit up. That's fine. It's fine. I'm sure he's completely together there. I'm sure that he's not having everybody around him actually run the country
Yeah.
and yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. He's great. Genius. Brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. And so, all right. So, what's causing inflation? Well, a big part of it was it's been going on for years. It happened under Trump, it happened under Obama,
hmm
and it's happening now where there's just been stupid spending in government. Like, we're just
Right.
going tons of money we're throwing over at Ukraine, but Ukraine is like the last thing. It's not
Right,
the
right.
thing.
All the billions of dollars they're sending to Ukraine doesn't even touch all the other nonsense
The
that they're
Iraq,
spending money
Afghan
on
wars, the tons of equipment that we bought and then just
and
left
left
to
for
give to all the people over there.
them.
I mean, it's continually thing after thing that all the free subsidy programs that we have to buy votes,
hmm hmm
these kind of things. I mean, you may think that's all crazy, but pick any one that you can get behind, whether you're, left leaning, right leaning, one of those things that I touched on you agree is ridiculous spending, right?
hmm
So you can get behind that. Now, we spent money like crazy. Well, the thing is, we hadn't really noticed it. And also, we were getting those bonus influx of cash, we're getting those
hmm
stimulus checks and all that during
Right.
COVID, right? So we're all like, yeah, everything's great. Well, all of a sudden, they were like, oh shit, everything's getting really out of control. And then they raised interest rates. They raised interest rates because things were getting out of control. and they had to do something.
Right.
And they had to. All right.
Mm-hmm.
It was going to get worse if they didn't. And I
Right.
know the interest rates are making it really shitty and hard, but this was the thing they should have done about 12 years ago, along with not spending.
Right. Yep.
All right. So they raised the interest rates. All of a sudden, now you're feeling the effects because all of a sudden now people are like, ooh, you know, we got a problem and we can't afford things. And all of a sudden things are turning to shit. Well, it's turning to shit fast. You banks are collapsing left and right, right? They
Right.
really are. That's a thing. And that's because of this whole interest rate thing. It's
Yeah.
not, well, that's the trigger. All right.
Right.
It's because of all the stupid spending and everything's
Right.
built on a fantasy of lies.
Mm-hmm.
And then people think, oh, well, it's just the United States. It's not. The
Right.
whole world has set up their world based on the United States. And so as we're falling apart, they're falling apart.
Right.
And everyone is trying to just be the last man standing. And that's where that great reset thing is coming from. Is they're like, well, we'll be able to sell it to you because
you're all going to be broke.
You're all going to be broke and desperate. And when corporations come in and say, hey, we're going to revamp it and we're going to, you know, set things up for you, then it's going to, you know, make everything great and wonderful. And it's not. So huge financial collapse stuff. That's where you need to be kind of thinking.
I mean, we're definitely heading for a recession. I don't know, you know, possibly a depression.
Right. It depends on your definition, right? It's a sliding curve of what the definition of those things are. But the bottom line, people are getting laid off like crazy because companies are freaking out because they cannot pay the bills. They can't resupply. Remember, everybody was scared BlackRock was going to take over the whole world. And now BlackRock is bankrupt because they bought all the commercial buildings. And now they're like, oh, shit, they're all empty.
Speaking of, IBM is going to replace 7,800 employees with artificial intelligence. So they're not firing people. They're just not hiring anybody anymore. So every time somebody retires, they're updating that job and
to an AI.
AI is taking care of it. Yeah. So let's talk about AI.
All right.
It's a big deal now, right? It's a big thing out there. Anybody can access it.
McDonald's has several stores. They have one in Texas that I believe is open, and they have one opening like July 6th in Phoenix, Arizona, that is going to be 100% employee free.
Oh, good.
And it is going to be crazy.
Yeah, all those kids that were making money flipping burgers, you're out of luck, buddy. Better go steal something from Walmart.
Nope. No more flipping burgers. Turns out they got robots that can do that and AI. And I don't even understand, like, who stocks the shelves. I don't even know. You know, do you have the ghost in the machine?
Yeah.
I don't even.
Who's going to be the first politician?
Truck driver just comes in and throws the patties.
Yeah. Who's going to be the first politician that wins with his election team entirely made up of AI?
Yeah,
it's not going to be long.
So this is where it gets even crazier, right? So we're talking about Congress and all these things, and they have, you know, your election campaign right now. They call it A/B testing. So you come up with a great idea where you're like, hey, guess what, everybody? I like guns and I like smoking cigars and I like drinking whiskey and I like diet soda. And then ad B says, I like all those things, but I don't like diet soda.
Right.
Which one do you like more? Well, obviously I like the guy who doesn't like diet soda because he's a sissy. And you're like, oh, that makes sense, you know, whatever.
Right.
So that's an obvious, but I was just giving you the little example. Now, here's what happens, though. So we do A/B testing right now where we try both with a different group and see which one they like, and they try different things. Well, with AI, they can do A to Z testing where it's like, hey, how about this? How about instead of whiskey, you like bullet whiskey? Or, hey, no, I like Hornitos tequila,
right?
Or whatever, right?
Right.
they can make every statement you say until it's refined down to this will get 90% of the people, or maybe
Right.
even 100% of the people. And they can create perfect candidates, whoever's got the most money with people who know how to use AI to make
Hmm.
ads to tell you whatever you want to hear in just the right wording to shove some messed up policy down your throat.
Right.
And I know that sounds crazy, but is it? I mean,
It's
they
happening.
always said, "Oh, China and Russia influenced our election by putting Facebook ads that made
Hmm.
people angry and blah blah blah."
Right.
Well, imagine what AI can do, and it's getting crazy.
Hmm.
Videos of people speaking, AI, ChatGPT 5, they're saying will be able to make videos in your voice with you saying it that
Hmm.
are undetectable,
Yeah.
as
And
far as,
yeah,
yeah,
right. How long is it before you see a very convincing video of Donald Trump molesting children? You know what I mean?
it's
That
just a
deep
matter
fake
of
stuff,
time.
you're gonna be seeing so many videos of things that never happened, nonstop coming up over the next couple of years.
And
You know?
there's another aspect to AI, and
Hmm.
that's that maybe AI is going to realize that people are corrupt and we're the problem.
Right.
Have you seen there was a movie back in the day? It was called Terminator.
I remember that.
Okay, something about the governor, and yeah, it's not good. So AI is kind of a thing that we need to keep an eye on, and the government, as always, has no idea about anything.
Right.
So, and honestly, we hate the government regulating stuff, so I
Mhm.
understand it, but they have
Right.
no idea if they need to regulate it or do anything. And here's the thing. So AI is just like guns. It's a
Mhm.
tool that it can be used for good or it can be used for bad. And people kind of do whatever. And the thing is, I'm not sure the smart people are out there looking to protect you with
Mhm.
AI.
Right.
Hopefully, smart people are out there protecting you with guns. I don't
I
know.
don't know about that either.
There's a lot of gray there.
We won't get into that
Yeah.
one. But let's talk about that though. Realistically, um, quantum computing is a real thing now. At
Yes.
10 years ago, it wasn't a real thing. It was something that people talked about and maybe will happen. Now it's a real thing.
Right.
And between quantum computing and artificial intelligence, um, there's going to be major changes. Major changes. It's going to be hard to tell what's real and what isn't real
Right.
very, very shortly.
So, I mean, it could where everything could come together just perfectly, where inflation gets out of control and AI steps in and fills creating services and everything becomes cheap and easy and free. Remember, technology, they were scared that it was going to take away our jobs when we had automation and things like
Right,
that.
right.
But in a way, it made your life better, right?
Hmm.
So all of a sudden toothpaste was like 20 cents or whatever,
Hmm.
and you could get stuff packed and shipped into your house, and
Right,
cars, they ended up getting cheaper. See, that's the thing, technology is actually making things cheaper and better, but at the same time inflation is changing the value of the dollars,
right,
so
right,
things are actually getting cheaper. It's just that your dollar is getting 10 times weaker as
right.
it gets 2 times cheaper,
Uh-huh.
right?
Right.
So it just is kind of crazy.
Hmm.
So everything could come together just perfectly where it all works out, right? And then we're all,
Yeah,
living in the
maybe
same.
everything will be great. I'm sure that's what
That's
I'm
the
planning
scenario
for.
I choose.
Yeah,
I
that's
picked
my
that one.
retirement plan is
Yeah,
that everything's just going to get a lot better.
there you go. Now, but there is a chance that it might not. And
Hmm.
again, that's where I mean, I like to look at buying silver and gold, but I gotta say, I'd rather have things I can eat that are real. I'd rather have lumber. I'd rather have, rabbits that I can eat. I'd rather have
Right.
chickens that are laying eggs. I'd
Hmm.
rather have things that put food in my kids' bellies, because who really wants silver when they can't feed their family?
Right.
So just think about that as you're starting to prepare. Now, there is another concern. Dude, I have so many. The list is like so long. Another concern is electric cars.
Hmm.
Now, electric cars, my big concern there is the power grid can't support it. I don't know if
Hmm.
you've seen the testimony before Congress, but basically, like a fleet of trucks is equivalent to a whole city's power grid.
Hmm.
And we can't sustain something like that. The technology is not there to do
Right.
electric vehicles. And that's not even talking about the pollution and the stupid nonsense coming from the batteries
Hmm.
and, the sustainable on that.
You know that
Uh,
lithium all comes from slaves, right?
yes.
All
That
right.
and the diamonds on the wife's finger that have been up somebody's butt. I
Right. You had
know.
to smuggle that out and yeah,
I
exactly.
hope we don't get to the point where we're smuggling the lithium out in
Hmm.
somebody's butt. That's
Yeah.
that's what I'm worried about.
A
Um,
corrections officer told me that if you get somebody to crouch and cough, whatever's up your butt
that's
is
the
just going to
trick.
fall right out. Yeah, that's how you get
It'll
it.
just pop out. All
Yep.
right. See, those are the tips that I really look forward to and want to take away at the end
Right.
of an episode.
I mean, if it keeps you from having to shine a flashlight up somebody's butthole, I'm for it. But I don't know that I'm really interested in checking out assholes for smuggled goods. Never going to be my job. I'll tell you
Hey,
that.
dig deep, brother. That's all I can say. Dig deep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's an ugly world. So yeah, there's that. Now, have you heard of Title 42? Do you
I
know
have
what
heard
this
about
is?
this. Tell me all about it.
Oh, well, Title 42 is a little disturbing. So again, this is another one of those mystery laws that is really something that happens, but I don't know that anybody voted on it or anything to make it a law. But
Right.
basically, under Trump, it was enacted. See, I don't know what enacted means. I don't
Hmm.
understand how, like, I understand it happened,
Right.
but how did we get there? But anyway, under Trump, he basically said, hey, look, with COVID, it's so dangerous to be bringing people into our country. We
Hmm.
can't be spreading disease. So, what I'm going to do is, until the end of COVID, we're going to set it up that as soon as you come into our country illegally, you're immediately deported right back out. And we
Hmm.
don't hold anybody because it's just too dangerous to hold people in these big containment areas. That's
Right.
basically what Title 42 is. However, because of COVID coming to an end, it was set to expire. And it basically, I believe it expired yesterday.
Uh,
It's either yesterday or like tomorrow, but I had some pictures of like El Paso, and yeah, it's getting crazy
hmm.
with people just lining up once again. It's like the same nonsense with the caravans.
Right.
And remember when Trump put all the troops on the border,
Hmm.
that was illegal and you can't
Right. He was a
use
huge
US
asshole.
troops in the
Everybody agreed. He was an asshole. All the people on the left said that he was an asshole for doing that.
well now.
Illegal, dangerous, and stupid, right?
Right. And now the Biden administration is lining up all kinds of troops on the border. I think they're 2,500 now. And they're all
What?
there trying to sort this out.
Wait
So
a minute.
now it's
This is
okay.
preposterous, Chuck.
It's
This is
okay now
preposterous.
because now we're doing it for good. Those soldiers now are there to help people instead of
Oh.
stuff.
Oh, okay. All
So
right. I'm getting it now.
When Trump did it, it was evil.
Right.
And
So
now
this isn't just like screaming at your opponent being stupid just because they're your opponent, right?
right.
This is he's doing it the right way now. Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
So the
Gotcha.
bottom line is everybody's coming over the border, and we're just going to have a lot of people that are now trying to integrate into our society, trying to get free stuff. They don't know the language. They're going to need new schools. They're going to need new churches. They're going to need new stuff to basically support them, new health departments to, support infrastructure. And I don't
Hmm.
know if you've ever heard the government say it, but infrastructure is expensive.
It is. It
And
is.
especially when these people aren't necessarily paying taxes,
Right.
especially if they're just getting a check instead of paying into the system.
Hmm.
So I'm not saying that all people who come across the border just get a check and don't pay into the system, but it is possible. I have heard that one or two that might be the case.
Hmm.
So, with that, basically, things are going to get a little tighter. There is no scenario where we don't have less money as a society.
Hmm.
Um, and things are going to get a little bit tougher. And once again, it goes back to the theme of you gotta start stockpiling things that you're going to need, things that will sustain your family, things that are necessities and not nonsense. You don't need the gadget, the best, water filter, the best, whatever. You need things that are going to be able to put food in your kid's belly. You
Right.
need things that are going to be able to keep the roof over your head. You need your house in order with, your roof not leaking, things that are going to make it last.
Hmm.
And it's just getting hairy, the UK, Australia, everywhere. This stuff's happening. It's not just the US. We're all kind of interconnected and it's pretty ugly out there.
Yeah.
So step up your prepper game.
And we didn't
But
even talk about super volcanoes. You know what I'm saying? There's a
yeah,
million other things out there.
there's so much right now and the thing is, it used to be these were kind of abstract ideas. Well, the weird change
Hmm.
in society, it could go bad. But now it's like, which one's going to go bad? Which
Right.
one is going to take us out? And it's just a matter of time, you know?
Right. And
It's
it's all
really
dominoes, you know?
dominoes and we're ready to crash. Slow Burn did say you might want to step up with a nice walk-in humidor
Hmm.
because you got to
Yep.
have your priorities. I would also recommend a keg in the kitchen.
Right. You got to have that. So you're
Or,
stocked up and ready to
we used
go.
to, I know I was on a Navy ship in Germany and they had kegs in the berthing. You could just reach out of
Nice.
your rack and grab the little
Now,
dispenser
on
right
the
in
German ships,
on the German ships.
they know how
And
to
I was
live.
like, I'm
I
in the
should emigrate.
they know how
Yeah.
to live. So with that, you have questions, concerns, ideas you want to share, email us at preppingbadass@gmail.com. Otherwise, I would say stay safe and we'll talk to you guys next week.